Well, hello there. Welcome to our mini video training. Let me kickstart it by saying I believe with all of my heart that finding a job shouldn't take time. In fact, it shouldn't take anyone more than 90 days to find a job if you are actively looking for one. If it has taken you that long or anywhere close to that, then I am 99.99% sure that you are making one of or all of these top three mistakes in your job searching strategy. And I'm going to be sharing with you these three mistakes in just a second. But first, let me point out that I use the Bible as my primary resource, meaning everything I'm going to be sharing with you in this training or presentation has a biblical foundation. The reason being, I find it to be a practical guide for everything. While a lot of people think of it as a religious book, it's not. It sure does contain some religion, but it's not a religious book. Just like it also contains science and math, but that does not make it a science or mathematics book either. It's a book about principles to live by, patterns that demonstrate those principles in action, and promises made by God to his people. Furthermore, I have come to the conclusion that any area of my life where I apply biblical principles to, that area exponentially gets better. That's because the Bible offers practical guidance on anything that affects us as human beings. And you best believe it has a lot to say about job searching as well. But before you start wondering, who is this guy and why should I even listen to him? Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mulenga Eric Kayula. I run a consultancy and writing service business that's offering a Bible based perspective to job seeking. What I do basically is equip professionals and non professionals alike with expert assistance in optimizing their CVs, crafting compelling cover letters, enhancing their LinkedIn profiles, interview coaching, and addressing any other aspect related to finding work that is fulfilling. And while it's tempting to talk about myself at length and try to spam you with humble brags, let me just give you the short version of my story so we can quickly get back to the reason why you clicked on this video in the first place. So, for a long time, I was a woodworker or carpenter, as some would call it, in a beautiful little town called Newcastle, right in the heart of KwaZulu Natal in South Africa, where for 7 years I built custom furniture pieces. It was a great gig, really, until I decided to switch careers to become a digital marketer in the latter part of 2020. Since then, I have studied and been experimenting with various digital marketing strategies while working across a spectrum of niches from real estate to e commerce and pretty much everything in between. Some of the companies I have worked for include KRI Zambia, now NASFA, which is a non-profit organization that does tremendous work helping small-scale farmers in Zambia. I also worked for Sandridge Associates, an amazing property management and real estate company. My partnership with Nix plunged me into the world of e commerce, and the list goes on. Most importantly, though, I am a committed follower of Jesus Christ, and I recently became a dad to an amazing little man. So that's my boy, Vusi Mtalekayula the first. And of course, that's me admiring him. Okay, moving on. When I made my switch, I also had to move from the world of entrepreneurship to finding a job so I could practice the new craft I was developing. I did not have a challenge finding a job. And when that job no longer served me, I quit and found another one. And yes, I quit that one too. The point is, finding a job has never been a struggle for me. And yes, I have had periods where I have been unemployed, but it was always by choice. Of course, I had to make my family believe I was trying my best to find one. I'm not proud of that, but I'm just keeping it real. And I know this will sound strange to some of them because there were multiple times in my life when they saw me be the guy who was broke as a jock and ready to chalk. And yet Here I am saying I chose to stay unemployed, yet it is the truth. I've always known I can find a job whenever I wanted to. The struggle for me has always been figuring out the type of job I want. However, I have also noticed how most people struggle to find a job, and some are actually my friends and family members. At first, I found it strange and wondered why they seemed to be struggling with something I found to be fairly easy. But I later realized that I might know some things about job searching that a lot of these people might not know. And being a follower of Jesus Christ, I know that gives me a moral obligation to share what I know with my brothers and sisters and just about anyone really that may be having a similar struggle. And by the way, my focus is not really about finding any type of a job, but rather a job that is aligned with the purpose of your existence or something you will find fulfilling at the very least. And I don't want you thinking I'm just this random guy on the internet out here making some outlandish claims like most of these gurus on the internet. No, sir. If you actually consider the fact that I was self employed for about 7 years and I have been a marketer for almost 3 years now. Then you top that up with the fact that I have been a student of the Bible for over 10 years and counting. You will realize that I am uniquely qualified to help you on this journey. Let me break it down further for you. First, I can help you see and approach job searching from an employer's perspective because I definitely do know something about that. Secondly, I know more than a thing or two about cutting edge business marketing strategies. Don't you think I would know a thing or two about marketing you and your skill set to a prospective employer? Hmm? I'm just asking, as my Zulu friends would say, Ngiyabuza nje. But most importantly, though, this is not guesswork. I'm not taking chances. And that's because I am more than familiar with Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 7. So I don't assume I know it all. And neither do I try to figure out everything on my own. I'm not confused on that. My confidence comes from the fact that I trust God from the bottom of my heart and I listen for His voice in everything I do in this business so that He can keep me on track. So, ever since I took on this assignment of helping people find meaningful jobs, I spend at least a minimum of 3 hours every day studying His Word, searching for timeless principles about work, purpose, and meaningful living so that I can be fully equipped for my assignment. A workman that doesn't need to be ashamed. And boy, oh boy, have I discovered a gold mine. In fact, I am fully persuaded that even if you were to take away reasons number one and two, reason number three alone would still make me uniquely qualified to teach you on this subject. But since I still have one and two by my side, I believe that I am triple qualified to help you. Talk about a match made in heaven. So, this presentation is one of the many resources I'll be making available in my quest to help you take a step towards find a fulfilling job. My prayer is that God opens your eyes to see the opportunities that lie in wait for you and anyone that is willing to apply these principles of finding fulfilling work and ultimately living a fulfilled life. Ready? Let's go. Quick question. What makes human beings different from the rest of creation? Well, it's the fact that we are the only part of His creation that was made in His image, meaning we are more godlike than we think. One of the earliest attributes we learn about God in the creation account is that God evaluates His actions. Check this out. In the creation account found in Genesis 1, we learn that whenever God finished doing something, He would take a step back and evaluate to see if what He had done was exactly what He had in mind. He did that every single day for 6 days. How do I know that? Well, the Bible has this to say at the end of every creative act. And God saw that it was good. That so in the statement is not merely beholding, but rather evaluating. And since you and I are created in God's image, that attribute is something that we possess and is unique to us. Cows can't evaluate, neither can dogs or any animal for that matter, but we can, and we should every now and then. It's an important part of being a human being. So, if you have spent the last 60 to 90 days actively looking for a job and haven't found it yet, surely you need to take a step back and evaluate by asking yourself, where am I going wrong? Because I promise you, you are doing something wrong somewhere. And please don't flatter yourself and say it's normal. It ain't normal. Jobs ain't that hard to find. And hey, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. Rather, I'm here to help you see your mistakes and hope you can use what you learn in this training to transform your situation. So, I believe the number one reason why it's taking you longer to find a job is that, are you ready for this? You don't really know what you want. What? I know. You think you do. You actually don't. And I will explain exactly what I mean by that. But first, let's consider what the Bible has to say in Jeremiah 1, verse 5, and learn something about our Heavenly Father. This is going to help me explain my point better. The Bible says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew all about you. And before you saw the light of day, I sanctified and ordained you a prophet unto the nations. From this verse, we learn something about God's way of doing things. Let us dig a little deeper, shall we? When God says, before I formed you in the womb, I ordained you a prophet unto the nations. When do you think Jeremiah was appointed to be a prophet? By the way, to ordain means to appoint. Get it? Well, the before implies that the appointment happened long before the guy was even conceived. Now, you may want to interpret this verse as saying there is a God ordained job for you. I don't want us to go there today. My focus is on the pattern, not the promise. This is not to say that the promise is not true, only that it's a totally different rabbit hole, and we're not chasing that rabbit today. So, here is a pattern for us to emulate from God. God always begins with a very specific ending in mind. Where is that coming from? Well, let's picture this. God needed a prophet unto the nations. That's a very specific job, by the way. He then decided, I will ordain a baby boy by the name of Jeremiah to fill the position. The boy was still non existent at the time, and so he led Mr. Jeremiah to Mrs. Jeremiah so they could fall in love, get married, and have a baby Jeremiah whom they would raise without knowing he is an ordained prophet. When finally it was time for Jeremiah to be revealed as a prophet unto the nations, his parents must have been shocked. Even Jeremiah himself was actually shocked at the revelation. I know he was shocked because the guy tried to refute the revelation by saying he doesn't know anything and that he was just a boy. But guess who was not shocked by all this? God. Do you know why? Because he had clearly planned it out from the very beginning. What am I saying? God always begins with a very specific ending in mind. But what's this got to do with you and the fact that you're looking for a job? Well, I'm glad you asked. Follow me closely. We both know the ending you desire, right? Right, which is finding a job. Good. Now, answer the following questions. What type of a job are you looking for? 2. Why are you looking for that particular job? 3. What company or list of companies would you like to work for? 4. Why that particular company or list of companies? 5. Do you know exactly how those companies make money? How are you doing so far? Should I continue? Okay. 6. How much would you like to be getting paid? 7. Why that particular figure or amount? 8. Do you mind working on weekends? 9. Does it matter where you work from, home or the office? 10. How long do you plan on working for that particular company? Hmm. How many questions did you manage to answer out of the 10? How thorough were your responses? But what's the point, you ask? Well, I'm just checking to see how clear and specific your goal is because it is an essential first step. Now, I know this may sound like much to some of you, and you may even want to accuse me of not being realistic and being too picky. I get it. And I'm cool with it, really. Heard it so many times, it doesn't affect me anymore. But let me talk to people that actually want fulfilling work. This, my friend, is where you start. Some may even say a beggar is not a chooser. Like, seriously? You're going to equate looking for a job to begging for a job. Wow. Just wow. You know what? I will be praying for you. Okay. That's all I have to say to you. Every time I ask job seekers those 10 questions, the two most common responses I get are you ready for this? Anything and anywhere. They're ready to do anything that is available, work anywhere, get paid anything under any conditions. This is actually heartbreaking. With so much that life has to offer, why would anyone choose to settle for anything? Do you realize that looking for anything is actually looking for nothing? No wonder it takes forever to find any job. Seriously, what does anything even look like? In fact, let me take it a step further and ask, what do we call a person who moves about anywhere looking for anything? Doesn't that sound like madness to you? Sure sounds like madness to me. Bullshit. It's insanity. It's being out of your mind. It's being crazy or whatever madness word you want to use. You get the picture. Now, why would you want to reduce yourself to that? You're not a crazy person. You're a child of God who is made in the image of God and has a purpose and so much value that he had to redeem you with the life of his only begotten son. Please do not let your lack of a job right now reduce you to an anything type of a person. Be like your Father in heaven. Be very precise about what you want in life, including the type of job you want. And here's the sad truth: most people that end up succeeding in finding the any type of a job wind up unhappy with their job within a month or two. By the third month, they either embark on another journey of hoping to find anything better than the anything they have right now, or because of the responsibilities that they have, they choose to stick to their miserable job, perhaps even working extra hard, hoping that things will get better along the way. 12 months later, nothing has changed really. They have just learned to live peacefully with their misery, and they wouldn't dare step away from their job because of the false sense of security it gives them. Plus, they strongly believe that jobs are hard to find. They have opted to work extra hard as a way of cushioning their mental laziness. They are willing to do anything but think. They refuse to take a step back, evaluate their actions, get specific on the type of job they truly want so they can step out in faith and go find it because that job does exist. But peradventure, that type of job they truly want really doesn't exist. Well, you can call me crazy, but maybe they need to go ahead and create it. I would know a thing or two about that. Whatever the case, please don't settle. Anyway, whether you agree with me or not, that's none of my business. This is a God given blueprint for getting what we want. Listen, you're not creating more chances for yourself by your lack of specificity. You are only wasting your time or creating either zero chances or terrible chances only. I challenge you to dare to define exactly the type of job you want. Remember the 10 questions I asked earlier? Start from there and then add more specifics that come to mind. Visualize your dream job. Let it be real in your mind. Write it down, every aspect of it. Got it? Good. Now that you know exactly the type of job you want, it's time to learn about the next big mistake you need to avoid. Are you ready? Okay. You're having a hard time finding a job because you have no value proposition. What do I mean by that? You're not bringing anything to the table. You only want to take, yet have very little to give. And it's blowing what people do to try and circumvent this step. Some try to get a prospective employer to feel pity for them to the point of giving them a job. So they have this pretentious humility when looking for a job. It's sad and funny at the same time. But hey, newsflash. No reasonable employer is going to give you a decent job merely because they feel pity for you. Never. Anyway, there is this other group. In fact, this is the majority. In their quest to impress a prospective employer, they resort to lying. Bad idea. You know why? Because God says, "Thou shalt not lie." Period. It's right there in the Ten Commandments. I know people's CVs are full of white lies, blue lies, black lies, and any other lie on the rainbow of lies that you can think of. But everybody knows that people lie on CVs. So what's the big deal? The truth is, it doesn't matter whether 99% of the population is doing it. Still doesn't make it right. And dare I say, there are consequences for every time we go against a principle set by God. Even if the consequences may not seem apparent at the time, there will be consequences. We need God on our side as we look for a job, not just as a mystical aid, but rather we won't make it very far if we keep working against nature and principles and the order of the universe as designed by God. I hope I'm clear on this one. No lying. So then, what do I bring to the table and how? Well, to answer this critical question, let us consider another biblical principle found in Acts 20, verse 35. I have shown you in every way by laboring like this that you must support the weak and remember the words of the Lord Jesus, that he said, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." My focus really is on what Jesus said. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Now, that's a principle. And the thing about principles is that they are what they are, they don't change. They're not merely true, they are truths. There's a difference between a fact and a truth. Facts are true, but not always, meaning they can change. But truths are always true, they never change. For example, it is a fact that I'm not married. That is true. But a year or two from now, that fact might change. But the sun rising from the east and settling to the west, that's a truth. That ain't changing ever. What goes up must come down. It's not may come down, it's must come down. That's the truth of gravity. And as long as we're here on earth, that law will apply. Now, it is more blessed to give than to receive. What do you think? Is it a law or a nice idea? Hey, God's word is truth, meaning it changes not. So, this principle applies to the rich and to the poor, old and the young, working or not working. The one that gets more blessings is the one who gives more than the one who receives. Period. That is the nature of principles. Our best chance of succeeding in our job search is to align ourselves to principles and not against them. Let's make principles our friends. Remember our previous assignment on reason number one? By the way, do I still have people who are looking for any job, even after what I said in the first part of this presentation? May I respectively say, "Twale no shidwe no kutali." Seriously though, if you haven't done the first part, this second part might not benefit you as much. So, to those that actually did the early assignment, I'm talking to you now. Almost everything you wrote down were things that would benefit you, right? I know I'm right. Let me guess. You considered your needs and you may have said you want to get a 25,000 net income. You may have even added a few bonuses for yourself. Good for you. You then picked a work schedule that suits you best, 9 to 5. Yes, sir. You even highlighted that you don't want to work on weekends. Weekends are for family, seconded, and so on and so forth. Now, before you even think it, fulfilling that assignment was not a setup. You did well in being as specific as possible. That was an essential first step. However, we are going to apply this principle that we just uncovered. It is more blessed to give than to receive, and add it to the first one. Always start with a very specific ending in mind. And here's what that would look like. Since the Bible just told us that it is more blessed to give than to receive, how much value would you have to bring to the table that would convince a prospective employer that the conditions you are asking for are far less compared to the value you're willing to give? Can you honestly approach an employer, make your value proposition, plus what you need in exchange for that value, and have the employer feel that you are the giver and they, the fortunate receiver? Think about what I just said for a moment. It's quite deep. What value are you bringing to the table that will make you become the recipient of the blessings of a giver? Because we sure need those blessings. And I'm not talking about 50-50 here. I'm talking at least 60-40. The point is, you giving the company more than you are willing to receive from them. Some of you will frown at this, but again, it's the Bible, not me. In fact, it's a principle. You're free to disagree, but that doesn't change it. More blessings await the giver. It is more blessed to give than to receive. So, how can you give more to a company? Well, it depends on your role, really. But whatever the role, it's important to give what actually matters to the employer, not what I think matters. In my experience, the more your actions can affect the bottom line directly, the better. After all, my company, any company rather, is out to make a profit, isn't it? Well, unless your target is non-profits, but still the principle remains the same. So, regardless of your role, how can you use it to either make more money for the company or help the company save more money? Almost any employer will be interested in issues that have to do with making or saving money. Trust me. For instance, if you can make your prospective employer believe that you're capable of helping them generate an extra 100K per month or save, say, 50K in their monthly expenses, then guess what? You said you wanted weekends off? No problem. Oh, and you want to be working from home? Well, we don't really allow that, but let's see what we can do for you. 25,000 net income? You got it. That's a yes, 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 and a maybe. Not bad if you ask me. All this is possible simply because the employer believes that the value you're bringing to the table is way more compared to what you're asking for. At this point, most of you may realize that compared to the value you're able to give, the dream job you describe is indeed just that, a dream. And that's okay. Let it remain a dream for now. Don't erase it. Just make some adjustments to make sure you're in a position where you are giving more than you are receiving. So maybe instead of a 25K net income, you might want to come down to a 10K or even a 5K. And don't feel bad. We're not killing the dream. We just want to align ourselves with the principle of being givers, not takers. By the way, I have a video where I show you the biblical principles for finally getting that exact dream job by becoming more. And then I show you exactly how to become. It's right there in the Bible. Hint, becoming takes time. That's why a lot of people are looking for shortcuts. Another terrible idea. Anyway, I digress. For now, let us just ensure we position ourselves to give more than we are getting. All right? Now that we have adjusted our wants and we are sure that we're demanding slightly less than the value we are bringing to the table, it's time to figure out how to communicate that value to potential employers. Because the truth is, it really doesn't matter what you think your value proposition is. What matters is whether the employer sees that value too. And if they are blind to your value and your value is only in your head, they won't pay you what you want. They will pay you what they want. And we don't want that. We know what we're bringing to the table, so let's make them see it. Now, this part is tricky because there is no one size fits all. But the idea is to be as creative as possible and use the various tools available to help communicate your value. For some of you, your past achievements and work experiences, well articulated with a well crafted CV and cover letter, will be the way to go. These will be your tools for communicating your value proposition. But you will need to think outside of the box still to stand out. Speaking of standing out, I will do a video soon on the topic precisely standing out. There's so much to unpack there, and I promise you've never heard anything like it before. Be on the lookout. Okay, back to communicating your value proposition. For others, making a presentation like the one you're watching right now, or presenting it in person to potential employers, showing them exactly the value you can bring to the table, that might just be the way to go for you. Some of you might need to start publishing content that establishes you as an expert in your field and have that library of content serve as a value proposition too. Others might need to build portfolios. A few of you might even need to work for free for a certain period of time. Hey, the options are endless. The idea is the same. Communicate clearly the value you will bring to the table. If this part is a little bit confusing for you, or you will need a little bit of guidance with formulating your value proposition, I'll be happy to help. But I promise it's not that hard. Okay, so here is where we are at. By now, you know exactly the type of job you want. You're not confused one bit. You also know exactly what to give to get what you want to receive. Now it's time to delve into the third and final mistake to avoid. And I believe with all my heart that the third and final reason why you may be struggling with finding a job is that you just don't want it bad enough. And that's just a nicer way of me saying you're not really serious about finding a job, period. If you've made it this far with the presentation, I would like to think of you as a friend. I mean, this is quite a long video presentation. So you've watched this far, or rather, you haven't watched this far just so I can tiptoe my way around the truth. So I'm going to keep it 100 with you. If you haven't found a job for the last 60 to 90 days, yet you have been looking for one, just one job, there could be a lack of seriousness in your searching. Look, I'm sure you can tell me a story of a guy that ended up with a girl we all knew was way out of his league, and he had no business whatsoever even trying to talk to her, much less try to win her over, and yet they just celebrated their second anniversary, and there's a baby on the way. Oh, you know the story of that girl who comes from a very poor family and has to figure out a way to provide for her family and keep her dreams alive at the same time. So we watch her juggle working for Pick and Pay on a part time basis while she pursues her medical career. Often, you can find her sitting on the door of their two-roomed house where she stays with her mother and siblings as she sells charcoal while holding a book and a pen in her hands as she tries to complete her assignments at the same time. And we look at her and wonder, how is she managing all of that? One thing we all can agree on is that she is going to make it. In fact, we even pray for her almost every time we see her without even realizing it because her story inspires us. We feel bad and encouraged at the same time. Weird stuff. I could go on and on with such stories, but all of these just to say this. What grabs us with such stories is that we see a biblical principle at play. And this principle has made common people like you and I achieve the impossible, the unthinkable. It makes us do the undoable. It's this very principle that propelled the Wright brothers to go ahead and invent an airplane, even after their father, who was actually a bishop, told them blatantly if God wanted us to fly, he would have created us with wings. I'm talking about a biblical principle. Fascinating stuff. Sometimes I even wish I knew some of these things I'm sharing with you a little bit earlier. Hey, but let me cut to the chase and say this. The Bible, in the book of Ecclesiastes 9, verse 10, has this to say: whatsoever your hands finds to do it how? With all your might. Stop. Take note of the key word, whatsoever. Question: do you consider looking or searching for a job as being part of that whatsoever? Well, for your sake and for the sake of your family, I hope you do. Okay, let's finish the verse. For in the realm of the dead, where you are going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom. Now, can you see the principle? Huh? Or let me give it to you in plain English. If anything is worth doing, give it your all. Why? Because one of these days, you're going to die. Also implying if anything is not worth giving your all, it's probably not worth doing in the first place. Why? Because you're not here that long. Unfortunately, a lot of people that say are looking for a job are not giving themselves wholeheartedly to the task at hand. How do I know? Well, one of the very first questions that I ask anyone that reaches out to me for help in their job search is this: when was the last time you applied for a job? And 95% will be like, I'm not sure. Maybe last week or something. Sometimes I will ask, how many times do you apply per week? And they'll be like, I don't know, it depends. If there's an opening I hear about, then I will apply. To me, both of these responses scream one thing: unseriousness and a lack of obedience to the principle we just read. And if I'm completely honest, deep in my heart, I'm like, with an approach like that, you'll find a job after 2 years. I mean, somebody please tell me how this makes sense. You eat 2 to 4 times a day, some of you even more, and yet a job that could help put that food on that table, which you say you really want, you can only apply for it maybe once a week. Wow. I find that fascinating. And here's a favorite line for most people: but there are no jobs. Oh, cheat on connection nowadays. Look, if these lies help you sleep better at night, then good luck. You're gonna be waiting for a long time, amigo. But let me give you something to ponder. In Zambia, right now, we have over 30,000 registered businesses or companies. That's 30,000, yo. But that's not all. We have over 1 million informal businesses. In fact, the actual number is something like 1.4 million, and it keeps going up every single day. Now, check this out. All of these businesses need people to run them because actual human beings like you and me are working for all of these companies. But you don't understand. They are not hiring. They are full. Yay! Full my foot. People die every day. People are fired every day. People are being promoted every day. People are retiring every day. And people are being hired every single day. You may even find this hard to believe, but many employers are even having a hard time finding valuable people to employ. This is not a motivational speech I'm giving you. This is a reality that I'm describing. Things that are happening even as you're listening to me right now. And here's the best part: if you can properly execute step number two, the one we discussed about value propositions, you won't even have to wait for anyone to die or get fired, promoted, or deported. Any employer that is worth their salt will gladly create a new, never existed before position in their company just to accommodate a person that has clearly shown that they are serious and will make a valuable contribution to the company. That's real talk. And guess what? 75% of these opportunities I'm talking about are not merely found by those who wait for Daily Mail ads or Go Zambia jobs or those chain WhatsApp messages your family members like to share with you from time to time, or from that uncle of yours who keeps reassuring you he will call you. He hasn't forgotten every time he sees you at a family event. These, my friend, are jobs that are only accessible to people who are applying themselves 100% to find them. People who are not afraid of knocking on strange doors. People who don't get discouraged after hearing one no or two no's or even 100 no's because they are focused on finding that one yes. I know they say good things come to those who wait, but hey, this is not one of those good things that just fall on your laps while you're busy browsing TikTok or commenting on every WhatsApp status update. To get this particular good thing, kupa mabebele. I don't know how to say that in English, but you do get it. I think you have been patient for too long. You have waited for too long. And dare I say, you have been relaxed for far too long. So, how about this crazy idea? What do you think would happen if, in the next 30 days, after you figured out the actual job you want and you know exactly the value you are taking to the table, what if you decided to cut out anything that has nothing to do with helping you find a job? I'm talking about cutting off those chats and conversations that are not helping you find a job. I'm talking about cutting off that favorite TV show of yours or movie time, that mindless browsing of Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and all the stuff that fuels your unquenchable thirst for entertainment. And then you tell everyone in your contact list whom you think might even be the slightest bit helpful in your quest for finding a job. You share your CV with anyone whom you think has the slightest potential to help, including those who might only know someone who actually knows someone. Share with them your CV and the type of job you're looking for. Tell your church mates you're looking for a job. Tell everyone in your social circle you're looking for a job, and encourage them to share your CV and cover letter with anyone in their circle that they feel might be able to help. Then make routine follow ups just to keep them thinking about you, just for 30 days. Guess what? You may actually get one or two offers with this step alone. And some of those offers might not be related to what you told them you're looking for. And they will encourage you to take it. And you'll be tempted to take it actually. But here's the thing, if you don't see clearly how that can be a bridge to helping you get what you truly want, politely say no and keep searching. Don't settle. But that's not all. Find emails and WhatsApp numbers for company owners whom you would like to work for. I'm talking CEOs or directors, actual decision makers only. Reach out to them and share your CV, cover letter, or anything that you're using to make your value proposition. Forget HR departments, forget protocols. We just want to appear to the actual big boys or big girls. And here's the catch, make it your mission to apply to at least 5 companies every single day. But that's too much. It's not. It's a reasonable minimum. Even if you were to apply to 100 companies every day, it would still take you at least 10 months before you go through all of the 30,000 companies I just told you about earlier. And that's just Zambia. There are more opportunities in neighboring countries, even more across our beautiful continent of Africa. And don't get me started on the global opportunities. Yay! You have no excuse whatsoever for not finding a job in less than 90 days. In fact, if you can take me up on the 30-day challenge, we may be talking about you finding a job in much, much less than 90 days. I did that once, not even in its entirety, and I was offered 2 jobs in less than a week. I literally had to pick which one I preferred. You want to know why this approach works? Basically, you're doing what is called collapsing timeframes. And by that, I mean you are doing in 1 week what most job seekers will only do in 1 year. Talk about a head start. And that, my good friend, is how you look for a job. So, in light of what we have covered so far, can you honestly look me in the eyes and tell me you have been giving this job searching thing your all? And can you honestly tell me you have been unemployed for over 3 months because there are no jobs in Zambia? How about this? Can you honestly look at your wife or your husband, your daughter or your son, your mother or your father, your sister or your brother, your girlfriend or your boyfriend? Can you look at them in the eyes and tell them you have tried your best to find a job in over 3 months, but things are just not working out for you? And hey, I'm not here to judge. For some of you, maybe it is true you have been trying your best, but after this, you have just discovered that your best was not good enough. There's a better way of looking for a job. Maya Angelou, an American poet, is quoted as having said, "I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better." I'm sure we can both agree that we now know better. If you can only take the time to figure out exactly the type of job you really want, and then look at your current capabilities, your skill set, your past achievements, and then figure out a way to communicate that value, or rather, figure out a way to communicate the value you can bring to the table in exchange for the value you want, and then Focus all of your energy and attention in finding that particular job. I promise you, your story will change in no time. And I would love, love, love to be the first one. Okay. Maybe the fourth one after you've told all your significant others about it. But seriously, though, I'd love to hear all about it when that time comes. But that's not all. I'd also love to hear about where you are right now in your journey. There is so much I'd love to personally help you with as you go about your job search because there is so much more it takes to actually finding that job of your dreams than we could obviously cover in one presentation. I'd love to provide expert assistance in optimizing your CV, in helping you craft compelling cover letters, in enhancing your LinkedIn profile, in providing interview coaching, and share a few unconventional job searching strategies and address any other aspect related to finding work that is fulfilling. But I also do realize that not everyone may qualify to work with me. So, what I want to do is first give you a free 30-minute strategy session. Sorry, a free 30-minute strategy session call to see how these principles could be specifically applied to your own individual situation and see if you even qualify to work with me. On the call, we'll go over where you are right now in your job search, where you want to go, and what you want to accomplish. We'll review your current skill set and qualifications, analyze your value proposition, and see how best your value can be communicated to potential employers. And then we'll lay out an action plan specifically tailored to your individual situation for finding a job. But please note, this is not some sales pitch in disguise because even if you're a good fit and I do give you the opportunity to work with me, there is no obligation for you to move forward if you feel it's not the right fit for you. Either way, you will be getting a customized breakdown of this job searching strategy, specifically tailored to your individual situation. But a word of warning, this is for legitimate and serious people only who are looking to find a job that is meaningful and fulfilling and are willing to do the work, invest in themselves, and spend the time to make that happen. So, who is this for? Well, this is for professionals and non professionals alike, from degree holders to people with only a grade 12 certificate, and even a grade 9 certificate for that matter. This is also for people with skills, talents, and gifts. It's for you if you're stuck in a dead end job and you want better for yourself. It's also for you if you love the idea of finding a job that is aligned with your purpose. It is especially for you if you're committed and ready to invest both time and money to make your life and the lives of your loved ones better. Now, this is who it's not for. This is not for people who are still clueless about the type of job they want, or people who are just looking to get a quick fix. This is also not for people who are totally broke and have absolutely no money to invest in themselves. It's not for people who are afraid to make a decision, take action, and follow through on making their dreams a reality, or anyone not serious about finding a job in the next 90 days. And this isn't suited for anyone who likes to make excuses or blame people or circumstances for the things that are not working out in their lives. Now, if you can agree to all of the above, and if this sounds like an opportunity of a lifetime, which it is, all you need to do is simply click on the button below and book in your call. This call is simply about finding out if you do qualify to work with me or not. And if you do, I'll give you all the details, including the investment required to get started. And if you're not a fit, I'll shoot you straight and respectfully let you know that you're just not a great fit. But I will still do my best to help anyway. So, in short, what I'm offering you here is the chance of a lifetime, a way for you to finally transform your life by helping you find a job that isn't just a meaningless hustle and grind that simply puts food on the table, but a meaningful and fulfilling job where you can utilize your unique capabilities, formulate meaningful connections while making meaningful contributions to other people, and most importantly, to your loved ones. So, go ahead, click the button below and book in your call today.